Good evening. I wanted to talk to you about strange lights in the skies, orbs, aliens, interdimensional beings, ghosts, Bigfoots, and dogmen, and other areas of high strangeness, and how they all kind of seem to be tied together. There's some theories on this we're going to talk about, but I think it's fascinating. I had an encounter years ago. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And people are reporting in the woods as people go into woods more and more looking for Bigfoot, looking for cryptids, and generally spending more time outside. People are seeing these strange lights, and that's what I wanted to talk to you folks tonight about. So it seems to me that Bigfoot is sometimes associated with these lights, not all the time. Although they generally, when we're talking about lights in the woods, we're going to talk about other types of lights here too. But it seems to me that when we're talking about strange lights in the woods and in the tree line, they seem to be in areas that have a lot of Bigfoot sightings, either before, after, during a Bigfoot sighting. Not all the time it seems to happen. Also dogmen and other strange creatures. It seems like areas that we would just call areas of high strangeness. Areas where cryptid sightings and poltergeist activity and strange lights or strange sounds, tree knocking, maybe strange tree structures, ghost stories, old battlefields, that kind of stuff. These things tend to be seen, and the thing that gets them is they're intelligently controlled. They'll chase you or you can chase them, and they seem to be a lot of bad omens. So one of the first types I'd like to talk about is, especially in the ghost world, paranormal, demon ghost kind of investigation, is people take pictures and they get, wow, look at all these orbs. Now, I'm not saying that every single time you take a picture of a haunted place that you're looking at dust or a snow or rain or an insect. But generally, when they go to a lot of these abandoned buildings, they're old and dusty, and you can't see it with a naked eye, so a bright flash hits it, and you see a lot of dust. Now, I know there's sometimes they have the same reports where they have intelligently controlled orbs or a light moving around or something, they didn't see it in a photo, or where the orb is physically behind something being cut off. There's some strange photos out there, but I'm just saying most of the time when people say, hey, look at all the orbs in this picture, I think it's dust, I think it's insects, or I think it's snow or rain or pollen or something that's in the air that's causing the light to refract off. And obviously it's not in focus, and that's where you get these orbs from. So what we're really talking about today are the strange lights that are in the woods that seem to be intelligently controlled. They're like the size of a basketball or a softball or up to a beach ball that seem to float around almost like they're looking for something, almost kind of like some futuristic drone or interdimensional drone where it seems to be supervising something, like it's watching, it's looking, or it's passing through. There's many theories on what these things could be. So like I said, I had the one experience in the woods. The link is below in the description to that. I highly suggest you check it out. It was pretty crazy. I go into full detail. Now, there are other things when we talk about lights in the sky. I think there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of comets. There's a lot of meteors. There's UFOs, rockets, airplanes. No other time in history has there been so much stuff in the air. People have all sorts of private drones now. There's thousands of satellites. That, the re-entering atmospheres, there's meteor showers, there are legitimate UFOs, people see cigar-shaped crafts, disc-shaped craft, strange lights in the sky. The Phoenix lights are a great example, flares, fireworks. I know especially here in Orange County in the city, Disneyland fireworks go off. We have the mountain ranges nearby. You can pretty much, and with John Wayne Airport and LAX and Ontario Airport, and we're not far from Pendleton Marine Base. At any given time, you can just sit outside and you can spot something, whether it be news helicopters, rescue helicopters, police helicopters, commercial aircraft, private aircraft. We even have like old B-25 bombers fly over for air shows all the time. So you see a lot of strange lights in the sky. And then there's some that are really unbelievable, UFO type stuff. Like if you guys are familiar with the Flatwoods Monster, where people see certain things. So we're going to classify that as like the strange lights in the sky, UFO, comets, satellites, that kind of a category. And that's not necessarily what we're talking about here, although as intriguing as that stuff is. What I'm primarily getting at is strange lights in the woods. Typically, it's in tree lines or a desolate area, flying low, not like an aircraft, 10, 15, 20 feet off the ground or almost head height, where it looks like a headlamp moving through the trees. And typically, it's in dense forest or in dense areas, like the one I saw had, 3 feet of brush on the ground and was about 7 or 8 feet up in the air, moving through trees silently. So it wasn't a headlamp crunching through. You couldn't fly a drone through there. It was silently moving. It was just this basketball size like orb, like one of those orb street lamp type things you see, just moving through the bushes, and it was silently moving. It was very eerie. And lots of people have seen this. Lots of people have seen them in areas of, oh, by the way, where my account happened was also Battle Mountain, which is the site of an old Indian cavalry massacre many years back. Anyway, but there seems to be intelligently controlled, like it's scanning or looking for something from another dimension, or maybe something the government has cooked up, some kind of disembodied something or other. And a lot of times they're bad omens. Bad things happen, especially if you chase them. That's kind of the number one rule of these things. If you get close to them, you can watch, but leave them alone. Don't chase them, because they tend to, people follow them and they lead them off a cliff, or people get dizzy and disoriented, or get lost in the woods, or get led somewhere astray, or get led into a Bigfoot, or even away from a Bigfoot, or some other creatures. There's all sorts of crazy stories about these things. So it's a phenomena that you want to study. If you see one, maybe cautiously, passively. So there's some theories on what these guys are, and these are just real shot in the dark kind of theories. A lot of things are postulated. A lot of people have postulated on what they might be. Some of them are really out there. Some of them are really practical. Like I said, it could be some kind of a government type drone, or some kind of a technology that we don't know about, that's letting these things hover, some anti-gravity mass, something like that. They could be purely technological, and they try to lead people away aggressively so that they cover up what they saw. One of the most popular theories out there, and I'm not disproving or discounting any of these theories, but I'm not necessarily saying they're right. It could be a mixture of things going on. A lot of people say it's aliens. These are their versions of a little helicopter drone. These are their versions of a spy. They're looking for something. It may be controlled remotely by a consciousness, scouting the world, looking for things, maybe some jump point or some kind of interdimensional wormhole or portal or something that they use to travel, and these are like their scouts or their way of looking through things. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. I mean, you can kind of, it's funny when you talk to alien people, they kind of claim everything is that, and I don't necessarily discount that, but you never know. It seems to be one of the more popular theories. A theory that I don't hear talked about too often, but it's kind of my personal theory, because I studied a lot of this years ago, is the whole remote viewing thing, where you can concentrate and meditate and get into the astral plane and actually focus on things almost in a dreamlike state, where you can see things from across the world. Time is really hard to pinpoint in remote viewing. So you could say you look at the White House or something. You don't know if you're looking at it 5 years ago now or 5 years in the future. So time's really hard, but maybe it's a disembodied spirit of somebody who's remote viewing. One of the other things that's out there is, especially in North America and all over the world, is humans have been around for tens of thousands of years, almost hundreds of thousands of years, and a lot of people have died and come and gone. Maybe it's a native spirit. Maybe it's a spirit from long ago. Maybe it's something that didn't pass through to the other side if you're into spiritualism. Maybe it's some kind of an angry native spirit or something that's still looking for their tribe or their family, kind of like a ghost. In that sense, maybe like a lost soul that are doomed to roam the earth, kind of like in a haunting, or some kind of like a poltergeist activity. It's somebody's looking for something. I know in Anza Borrego they have the skeleton that supposedly wanders around, and the ghost lights in there, and they're supposed to be the ghost of prospectors looking for their lost gold mines, and it was pretty well documented in the 1800s. Now, one of the more dark, sinister theories is that these things are particularly evil, that they are some kind of demon that has yet to take form, or has yet to find an empty vessel, a person to possess or an animal to possess, and this is them in their most pure ether energy form. It is some kind of a fallen angel, a demon, a Nephilim, whatever you want to call it, that's searching for something to take over, and this is just its way, or it's looking for something in particular. Or it could be some kind of a being. This could be their form of something extra dimensional, something alien, something of a parallel life form. Maybe humans really advanced or advanced down to, after millions of years, or just some kind of a floating massive energy of a soul floating around. And this is a time travel thing, or jumping from in and out of dimensions and portals. Who knows? It really makes the mind wonder about what an intelligently controlled beach ball light going through the woods could be. Everything from something conventional to demonic. I find these things fascinating. I've seen one or two things in the sky in my life that I could classify as UFOs. And this one time off the porch, I saw what looked to be an orb. It was the same night as our Bigfoot encounter, now in a different area, but just a few miles away. Very strange. If you feel I deserve it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell. If you have a Facebook or a Twitter, you can follow me on there. My information's below. And also, please feel free to share this information with other people. I think it's fascinating. This is a video I wanted to expand on since I made my first video about my experience. So stay safe in the woods, folks. Don't go chasing these things, and good night.